Good morning. It is Monday, and I am Bonnie Sachs, the author of the Health and Happiness Guide. I think it's really funny because I think it actually comes out backwards when you look at it. But the Health and Happiness Guide to the Universal Laws. And I love to pop in on Monday mornings for what I like to call a happy half hour, a great way to start the week. And today I am actually upstairs in my office because bright and early this morning somebody was knocking on the door saying they were ready to take a tree down in our yard, which was just happened to be right outside the window where I normally speak. And so this is an awesome opportunity for me to come upstairs and have a conversation with you today about emotions. It has been a very rainy week here in South Florida, and I just kind of chuckle about having this conversation around emotions because, of course, there are a lot of emotions that are happening with rain. A lot of people have various emotions. The ones that are like, I just love the rain, it is fabulous, and the ones that are like, I hate the rain. Just reminds me kind of Eeyore, that is like, it is yucky and miserable, and I need sun and I need some joy. And so today we are going to talk just a little bit about emotions. I am teaching a class. It's called The Healing Power of the Akashic Realm. And the entire 6-week course is around emotions. And it's really kind of fascinating to watch how each one of the emotions that we talk about shows up for the week prior to the class. I always find that really interesting how those kinds of practices show up for me. Maybe they wouldn't show up for you, but we are doing a class around emotions, and we looked at worry in week 1, and then compassion in week 2. And then week 3, we looked at anger. And this week, we have been looking at joy. And so I wanted to have a conversation definitely about those. And then at the end of in the next 2 weeks, we're also going to be talking about fear, and we're going to be talking about love. And so I'm really curious to see what you guys have to say about these emotions, and if there's any kind of great wisdom that you have around these kinds of emotions. So first of all, I do want to say good morning to David, and good morning to Wendy, and good morning to all of you who pop in. Eileen, I certainly appreciate you popping by and saying hello and good morning and giving me your opinion around these kinds of emotions, because there are very definitely some triggers for us, and that's one of the reasons why we looked at them. So the very first one we looked at was worry. I don't know about you, but I considered myself not a worrier. I was not a worrier in any way, shape, and form. And most people who know me would have said, yeah, she really doesn't worry too much about things. But one of the things that I discovered is that I'm actually a closet worrier. I just laugh at that every time I think about it, because it really is true. I really do spend time worrying, but I'm also clear that I'm supposed to have this image out there that I don't worry, so I keep it inside. And so I would love to hear what you think about worry. I have a few friends, maybe this is you, maybe it is not, some people who think that worry is something that if you do not do enough of, that something bad might happen. So it's almost like worry is like a talisman, right? That worry is something that is like, as long as I worry enough, I'm not going to have an issue. Nothing is going to happen to me. And yes, Wendy, I am definitely a worrier, but I keep it, down low, under wraps. So are you somebody who thinks worry is necessary to do? Are you somebody who maybe have or had parents or relatives who worried about you and figured that is how life is supposed to be? Yeah, I only worry about a few things. Actually, I do have a very entertaining quick story about our life when My son was 2. He aspirated a piece of popcorn and developed a really raspy voice and had trouble breathing. And we really were concerned about it. And we took him to a pulmonologist, and the pulmonologist told us he was going to be fine, that he would go in and he would suction his lungs in 4 days. And in between that time period, my husband and I had to go out of town for a conference. And what I learned about my husband, David, was that he was a phenomenal worrier. He takes worrying to the nth degree. And I told him at the time, you're such a good worrier that I'm going to put you in charge of worrying, and that's going to free me up to do other things. So I think I sort of took that on as truth for a very long time until I discovered that I really do still worry. I just don't speak it all the time. So, Melissa, you're absolutely right. We don't have to worry. We just do, right? Worry is really a lack of trust in divine timing, that everything is going to happen exactly as it's supposed to. That's usually how it shows up for me, that when I'm in a mode of worrying, it's because I think everything isn't going to unfold exactly as it's supposed to, which of course is one of the universal laws, divine timing. Everything happens exactly as it is supposed to happen. So the next one we looked at was compassion. And, I was very clear from the very beginning that I am a very compassionate person when it comes to other people, and that most of us are that way. We're very compassionate about other people, but we really struggle to have compassion for ourselves. We really struggle to have some awareness of how to be kind to ourselves and how to take care of ourselves and how to really step into some serious compassion, some serious, I got to take care of myself. And so for me, that entire week was about looking where I am compassionate with myself and where I struggle with it. And for the most part, I have some of that compassion for myself. I definitely love to take care of myself. It is no surprise to anyone that they will find me sitting on the sofa, reading a book, watching TV, or taking a little nap in the middle of the afternoon if that's what I need. That I really love to do that. I really love to take care of myself in that way. And there's a lot of different ways that we can take care of ourselves. A lot of us like to go on vacation, or we like to go out to dinner. We like to treat ourselves well with how we dress and things like that. It's all a matter of degree, and it's all good. The question really is, how compassionate are you with yourself versus how compassionate are you with other people? Most of us, it comes very easy for us to be, kind and generous and thoughtful and aware of other people and their emotions, but we're not so much with ourselves. And so I want to encourage you on this Monday morning to think about that one. Maybe find, sometime at 2:00 in the afternoon, which is always a struggle that's usually a struggle for people there, to say, what do I need? How can I take care of myself? How can I do something really good? So it is definitely a practice, Melissa. You're absolutely right. It is something for us to just take a look at. And I actually heard a great idea the other day that you can actually set your phone up with a timer. And when the timer goes off, you give yourself 5 minutes to be compassionate, or 5 minutes to be kind to yourself. Maybe you're just going to take 5 minutes to sit and write something really nice about yourself, or you're going to take some time to, treat yourself to something that you wouldn't ordinarily. And, some of us really love flowers. Some of us really like a walk in nature. Some of us want to do some other things to take care of ourselves. Yeah, it's really, Yvonne, you're right. It's really about staying aware and kind of bringing that practice into our lives a little bit more. And it's one way that a phone can be phenomenal, right? We can actually use technology to our benefit. So I want to encourage you to take a look at how compassion shows up for you and where you can be a little bit more kind to yourself. The next one we looked at, and we actually looked at this last week, was anger. Woo! Anger. That one was really fun because remember I told you at the very beginning that I actually have experienced each one of these emotions in the week prior to when we were talking about it in class. And so to have an entire week where anger was showing up at different points was just really amazing. Yep, that's exactly it. That nice anger emoji that pops up. And I actually had an occasion, I had a healing session that week, and I walked into my friend's office, and I was like, "Hey, how you doing? What are you doing with that tobacco?" And she goes, "Oh, I'm getting rid of being pissed off." I said, "What are you pissed off at?" She goes, "Oh, it's not me, it's you." I'm like, "I'm not pissed off. What are you talking about?" And she's like, "Yeah." And so as we started to take a look at that, I started to see the places where I was angry, where I was holding anger. Now we're talking about from an energetic standpoint, but I was holding on to anger that was like, "Oh no, if I let this go, something bad could happen. I don't want to let this go." And so I was holding on to this like ball of energy in my body that I didn't want to let go of. I was afraid to experience whatever that was going to look like. And so it was very interesting once I became aware of this ball of energy to then recognize it in my shoulder and then see where else it showed up in my body. Because usually once we have a sense of something, we can then find it somewhere else. Yes, Melissa, I'm sure I hear you singing that song, "Let It Go, Let It Go." Absolutely. It's a great Disney song and certainly a perfect theme for this conversation around anger. And the piece is really like, where do you see it? Where is anger showing up in your body? And here's a great question for you is, how did you grow up thinking about anger? What did anger look like in your family? Did you grow up in a family where anger was not acceptable? Now, young man, that is not appropriate for you to behave that way. Or did you grow up in a family, more like I did, where it was like, and people were constantly yelling at each other and expressing themselves in terms of anger, not necessarily in terms of love, but really being expressive. You know, we used to joke about my dad that we were afraid he was going to throw something into the television on Sunday afternoons when he was watching football. And, you know, he just was very expressive about it, very clear about it, but he definitely got it out. And of course, he got it out in other ways. He wasn't an angry person in general. He was generally really congenial, but it was really interesting to grow up and look at that, at where anger shows up and what anger looks like. And I've heard lots of different stories, people who said, we couldn't talk about it. We could only talk about it under certain circumstances. We talked about our anger in very logical ways. Yes, I'm very angry about that. And I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do to handle that. Like, is that okay? Is that a great way to express anger? I'm certainly not here to pass a judgment on it, just for you to notice it. How does anger show up? How did you grow up? How are you holding on to your anger or expressing your anger now? You know, is there something for you to learn about yourself? Maybe there's a place where you're denying it. I certainly was. I didn't even realize I was angry. But those balls of energy are there. And when we can really take a look at them, we can start to like move them out. We can ask them to move. We can let them go in with compassion and with love. We can start to move those things out. And then we're not holding on to that stuff. I do have a hard time remembering these pieces about which organ holds on to which emotion, but it seems to me like the liver or the lungs. If you know, please pop it in. But those are the organs that are responsible for holding on to anger. Could be kidneys as well. Anyway, we're hold on to that kind of stuff. We're going to create a very toxic organ. So regardless of which one it is, we are going to create a very toxic body, and we definitely don't need that. So I want to encourage you, like Melissa said, to let it go, let it go. Be okay with moving that emotion through, whatever it looks like. I have a friend who's just like, beating on the wall, beating on the pillows. So Melissa, thank you. She's saying it is in the liver. And yeah, so we definitely want to move that stuff. I have a great friend, her name is Holly, who says, we want to detox so we can retox. So if we can detox our livers, if we can move out the anger, we can take on more of that and be able to really express it, be able to really be free in expressing that emotion and being okay with, you know what, I'm really angry with you, and it not be something that we're really pissed off about it. So good morning, Robin. We are talking about emotions. Robin actually is in the class that I am talking about, where we are talking about worry and fear and anger and compassion and joy and love. These emotions, we've done one every week. And it's just been really interesting to take a look at where these emotions show up and the beliefs we have around them and the lifetimes that we've had. Because, of course, this class is a class where it's called the Healing Power of the Akashic Realm. So we're actually using our Akashic records to go in and look at the lifetimes that we have had around these different emotions. And it also is an opportunity for us to look where we can let go of something, where we can shift something, where we can see that we have a pain or an anguish from a previous lifetime that we no longer need to hold on to. So it is a really awesome opportunity. This week, we are talking about joy. And we had the first class last night on joy. And it was really interesting because I'm teaching this class with my business partner, Lily. And we get on the phone and we're like, okay, so what are we going to talk about? What have we learned about joy this past week? And I don't know about you guys, but this past week, we had the new moon happen on Monday morning, and it was a rocket ship ride this week with emotions and a lot of things going on. There are a lot of fear, a lot of people creating fear and worry and concern, lots of things that have happened out in the world that we could get worked up over. So I really struggled to find where joy showed up in my life this past week. And it was really interesting to have that conversation about where did joy show up in my life? And just in the looking for joy, I got the best chuckle because it was really difficult for me to find it. I was not sure exactly where it appeared. And so I actually went into my Akashic records and I asked, where is the joy? Why can't I find the joy? And one of the answers I got is that joy for us often shows up in little tiny ways that we don't recognize. So the example that I got was enjoying the blossom on all the flowers that are outside of my house and really examining them and seeing them for what they are. Good morning, Liz. It's great to see you. And when we can actually, Melissa, you crack me up. Absolutely. Hanging out with your friends is definitely a joyful time. But when we can see some joy in the little things, maybe we don't have time to spend time with the people who make us laugh and we really have lots of great fun with. But if we can see the joy in ladybug on a flower, or if we can see the joy in a little kid walking down the street, and those were the examples that they gave to me because that's what I see in my neighborhood. But what happens to me is that I see them and I acknowledge them like, oh, look, oh, they're so cute. But it doesn't register in my head like, that was a joyful moment. And it doesn't get recorded as like, they said, on the balance sheet, so to speak. So, if we go through our day and we had a balance sheet, here's all the good things that happen and here's all the difficult things that happen, that sometimes joy just doesn't get ranked on the balance sheet. Oh, the cute little toddler with their diaper, waddling down the street, or oh, the ladybug on the flower, or the little boy who leans over and gives his grandmother a kiss on the cheek. I saw that in the mall the other day. And we don't necessarily recognize that. So Liz, are you really Elizabeth Joy? Is that really your name? I think that is totally awesome. Totally awesome. I think it's fabulous if you actually get to have joy in your name. But otherwise, we have to go and look for it. Now I know I can just go and look for Liz, and then I know that I'm with Joy. So I absolutely love that. But here's the other piece that I discovered about joy, is that there is some belief that life has to be a bit of a struggle, that life is difficult, that life it has to be hard, and we have to go and really strong arm it and really go through life. And when we have that perspective, of course it's going to be hard to find the joy. Of course we're going to say, no, if I let go of this, something's going to happen. I'm not going to be able to maintain. I'm not going to be able to move through what I'm going through right now. And so when we can step into more joy, when we can see a little bit more compassion for ourselves, then we can have a little bit more fun. And I think we all could use a little bit more fun. Here's the other thing I learned about joy, and I find this really kind of cool and fun, is that joy is our natural state when we're on the other side of the veil, so to speak. When we are not in a body, joy and love are our absolute normal, natural state. We completely understand joy and love when we are over on that side of our life. When we are not in a body, we can totally be in joy, having fun, zipping around the astral plane, doing whatever it is we want to do. And so when we come here, we're often coming here in this lifetime with the understanding that we are supposed to be working things out, moving through, healing whatever is there for us, and really getting down and dirty with our service that we're here, with the work that we're here to do. And so it often takes over that idea that we have work to do, things to get done, things to move through. And so we don't often remember that there can be joy, that there can be happiness. So next week, we are going to be talking about fear in our class. I'm not going to be talking about fear here. We're talking about fear in our class. And so I just want to confess right here, live on Facebook, that I am not prepared for this week and seeing where fear shows up. Although I do know there are several places where fear shows up in my life. And I want to encourage you to just be brave, step into the question of where am I afraid? And what can I do about it? What can I do to minimize it? What can I do to be a little more okay with that fear? Now, some of us are, the first fear that comes up is a fear of bugs, insects, snakes, reptiles of any kind. Some of us are afraid of dogs or cats, or there's certain people that we're afraid of. Maybe we're afraid of what is happening in the world. Maybe we have some fear around not knowing what is coming next. A lot of us have a fear around the not knowing piece, right? Not sure. I have heard a number of people talk about that the world is probably going to end, that there is something right around the corner that is going to destroy us, that there is another event that is going to happen. And we might want to take a look at that. What is that? Why are we afraid that the world is going to end? One of the things I most love about reading the Akashic Records is that I have an opportunity to take a look at those lifetimes where perhaps I felt like the world totally ended. And I do know that there have been lifetimes when the world has ended. And so it makes sense that I would be in a space of, oh my gosh, if that happens, if we give somebody that much power, the world is going to end. I know where that comes from. And so that gives me a little more peace and understanding of knowing, oh, that was then, this is now, I'm okay. But I want to encourage you to take a look at that. I also want to encourage you to take a look at the last one that we are going to be doing in our class, which is love. And the thing that I absolutely love most about love is that there are a lot of places where people do not want to step into love. For some reason, I do, I'll speak for me, we have this picture that love is beautiful and endless and amazing and incredible. But some of us have these pictures that love is painful, and love hurts, that love is something to be afraid of, that we need to worry about it, that it's, something that you have to tiptoe lightly around. And so not only is love a beautiful thing, as well as one of the highest frequencies that we have on the planet, but love can also be a huge trigger for us. It can be a huge place where we're like, wow, what in the world is that? And I just want to encourage you to take the next couple of days to sort of look at that. Maybe see where love shows up and you're like, I think that's one of those things. I think that's one of those places where I'm not too sure that I am 100% into this conversation about love. And it's just something to think about. You can set your phone for an alarm to be compassionate about yourself. You can also take a look at where love shows up or maybe where love doesn't show up for you and what exactly that means to you. I just like to have a little conversation and spark a little interesting thinking on your part. And I do want to take the last minute or two to tell you about a really cool opportunity to look at another kind of foreign energy that appears in our body, and that is judgment. And next Friday night, I am going to be teaching the Akashic Records, teaching people how to read their Akashic Records. There are always a lot of people who are on this video with me who are asking me, can I learn to read my Akashic Records? And the answer is yes, absolutely you can. And I am going to be teaching it on Friday evening. It's a quick hour-and-a-half class. We are going to be looking at the conversation around judgment. Where do we hold judgment about something? Where can we move that and let it go? So that as we move more judgment out of ourselves, we can then start to see the world in more peace and more love and more joy. And it is really an awesome opportunity. We do the class online. It starts at 7 o'clock. It finishes at 8:30. And I guarantee that you will learn how to access more of your own information in an hour and a half. And you will be amazed at the stuff that you get from your records. This is also something that once you learn it, you can take it with you and you can start asking your own questions. Where does love show up? What scares me the most? What can I do to help my brother, my sister, my son, my daughter? What can I do to help the world? I actually had somebody in a class last night talk about how they got very specific information while they were in Las Vegas about how to win some money. So you never know, it's always a possibility. So I want to thank you very much for joining me here today for the Happy Half Hour. I look forward to seeing you next week and to seeing you around town. Take care.